Guys, SEO is dead. Such a shit intro. My God. Welcome. So, it has come to my attention and to all my clients' attention that now and today, SEO is really dead. And I want to go over why and exactly what I'm doing. And this is not just some fear mongering, this is the reality. And I think a different thought process of what people are used to thinking when they think SEO is dead. Usually when people think SEO is dead, is they think just AI is going to take over or has taken over and people are just going to use ChatGPT forever. And I don't really agree with that. Here's what I mean. So reality is, and I want to give you a couple examples, and at the end I'm going to give you like a step-by-step exactly of what you should be doing, okay, with proof that's working, okay? Here's what I mean. So thing is that people won't read your site anymore. Robots will. And there's some people who argue, and I sort of tend to agree that sites will sort of become irrelevant. So having a site to some extent will become irrelevant. Not all, and I'll explain why. But reality is that people won't read your site. People won't browse your site. People won't read your pages. People won't click your site. People won't click your blogs or your product pages. Robots will, okay? Now, does this mean you should stop producing content? No, right? Does this mean you should stop having, if you're an e-commerce store, having product pages, category pages, if you're a software business, having like comparison pages, feature pages, if you are whatever. Does it mean you should stop producing content? Not at all. And here's why, right? Out of all these right here, this is for Nintendo's site, right? They have, of course, a bunch of like organic classic traffic from Google and Bing, but they have a lot of AI citations, right? Google's AI reviews or AI mode, GPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Copilot, then there's Grok, I mean, there's a bunch of ones. And they're cited or mentioned a lot of times. Now, what this is right here, these citations, these mentions, they happen because a robot, based on a person's search prompt, right, browsed the site, right? If I type, for example, in, hey, I'm looking for a console for my kids, I don't like PS5s nor Xbox, they're too big, I don't know, whatever. What do we recommend? Hey, here's Nintendo, right? Nintendo shows up. So I, as the user, just put in the prompt, and then the AI did the research for me, right? They went through the Reddit post, they went through YouTube, they went to blog posts, they went to Nintendo's site, they went to Xbox site, and they compiled, right, all that information because all these AI agents are there like a funnel. You prompt it, gives you an answer. You prompt it, gives you an answer. Prompt it, answer until you have your final answer, right? Well, before with the classic Google search, you search for something. There's a blog post. There's a YouTube video. There's like a Reddit post, and your job as a human is to click and read the blog post, watch the video, skim through the Reddit comments, and then based off of this, take your conclusions. What these do, GPT, all these LLMs, what they do is they just do the work for you, okay? And they give you a little neat answer in a little text box. That's all they do. Again, going back to this, point being is that right here, I prompted something onto the LLM, and they browsed the site for me. So the robots did the work, right? The robots did the work. So people, yeah, what happens is people won't read your site anymore. Now, granted, of course, if they say, hey, yeah, Nintendo has this Nintendo Switch, it's pretty cool, go here to their site to see more or to buy. Yeah, I click the site and I go buy. But in the future, I can assure you that what's going to happen is that these LLMs will allow you to purchase inside. Like let's say GPT will have this interface where you can just purchase products on the site without having to go, on the GPT like chat without having to go to the actual site. I can assure you, that's what I think, that's going to be one of the ways in which they monetize these LLMs because there's no ads as of yet. And I think what's going to happen is that they're just going to work as affiliates, if that makes sense. Again, point being is that, yeah, these LLMs will read your site. So SEO is dead in the sense that people won't be browsing your site. So you might think, okay, maybe it's kind of pointless to write blog posts. Maybe it's kind of pointless to write maybe comparison pages or like listicles, top 10, whatever. Maybe it's kind of pointless to write to have like category pages or product pages. Maybe it's pointless to even have a site. Yes, if you think the only value of this is people browsing the site. But what happens is that people tell the AIs, tell the robots to browse the sites for them, gather all the info, and then feed it to them like a little shitty spoon where it's easier for them to consume. And that's why you still need to produce content because yes, humans won't browse it, but the robots will, and they'll browse it and then give that information onto the human. It's just way easier for us, right, to do. And I'm sure you use GPT like myself, you just save a ton of time. So before I show you what to do, right, hopefully it's making sense. Hopefully my it's not a theory, it's reality. Hopefully what I'm giving out makes sense to you, in the sense that yes, it is kind of painful to produce content, to create pages, to have a living, breathing site with content just for robots, not for humans. But the truth is that it has to be there because humans use robots to take the info in and feed it to them in a little spoon because it's easier for us humans to consume. With all that said, yes, you have to produce the content, of course. And so I want to give you a couple of examples. I want to give you an example for an e-commerce store, because I want to try and give you as many examples as I possibly can on different niches, different business owners, okay, of how you go about increasing this right here, increasing your mentions on LLMs, right? Making sure that ChatGPT cites you as much as possible. So I want to go over an e-commerce example and then a software example, and I could go on and on multiple examples, but just these two, if you can extrapolate some value from these and apply these same principles for these to your business, any niche, these principles apply. Just have some critical thinking, okay? So first, and now this is, I guess, the boring part of the video, where I'll just give you a step-by-step of like over 1 hour explaining exactly what I do and why. So that's the boring part. But I mean, if you're here still, you're interested in this, let's dive in. First, I'm going to give you an example that I've given before in the past, but I think it's very interesting. So I'm just opening up your Ahrefs right here and open up the site. This is an e-commerce store. Okay, they sell gardening supplies. Okay, again, if you're an e-commerce store, these same principles apply, right? Maybe you just sell something different. If you're a software business, I'll go over an example in a bit. If you're a local business, it doesn't matter. All these same principles will apply. Okay. So again, e-commerce store. And by the way, before I dive into this LLM SEO type stuff, GEO type stuff, it's very important to note that this right here, like this, the number of AI citations, let's call them GEO, whatever, this is heavily dependent on your classic SEO. So how well you perform over Google search, Bing search, whatever, the classic SEO, right? The traffic you have, organic keywords you rank for, the links you have, referring domains, all this stuff, right? The classic SEO will dictate how well you perform on GEO. So there's a direct correlation between how well you perform on your classic SEO and how well you do on your GEO. So you need to like tackle your SEO. And I've talked about this before, and I'll leave some link for like free courses down below on how to do SEO. But we just have to know that we have these three main pillars: on-page SEO, off-page SEO, and technical SEO. And I want to go over these super quick on what these three are, because again, to talk about GEO, to talk about LLM SEO, or whatever you want to call it, to talk about how to increase this, we first have to dumb it down to the principles of SEO. So let me just go over this real quick. And again, I've talked about all these before, and I'll leave some videos, like free courses going over all these in depth, but I'll just go, I'll do a little overview of what these are. Technical SEO is the boring stuff. Your schema markup, your meta titles, your meta descriptions, your site speed, all very valuable stuff. For example, if I go on Google and type in, for example, bathrobes for men, right? Who shows up, right? Let's say these guys right here show up. Let's just do this, for example, right? This stuff right here that shows up, right? These images right here aren't here by mistake. This is then with schema or structured data. Again, I'll leave a link for a video that I go over how to do all this stuff. But this right here, right? The meta title, the meta description, the words you use here, is it SEO optimized? Have you sprinkled in your keyword right here? In this case, I have men's bathrobes, but it threw in the word designer. So this becomes a little bit of copywriting knowledge. Designer is a very it's something you want. It's more expensive, more hard to get, right? What's written right here, right? Again, copywriting on the title and the description. Doing stuff like this doesn't make any sense, because like there's a limit in how many words will show up here. If you just write more, it'll just show up like this. So anything you write after doesn't make any sense. So this is dumb to have this right here. Stuff like, for example, and I give this example all the time, if you just type in Dallas plumber, right? Stuff like this right here, these little star ratings. This is not here by mistake. This is, again, technical SEO through schema markup or structured data. This shows up here. And look at this. This guy's ranked first, we rank second. It's much more enticing to click this result than this one, because this has like more pixels, and this that almost not any other result has, right? And you can do this in e-commerce, you can do this in software, you can do this in any site, right? That being said, they have too long of a meta title. And these guys right here, they have the number in the meta title, so maybe they get less clicks, but they have more calls because they have a number right here. Again, all boring stuff. Again, if you click the site, it has to be fast because if it takes too long, even if I'm ranking first, if the site takes like too long to load, well, I'm just going to click off and click the second result. So again, all boring stuff, but very important. Technical SEO is the way to go. Now, off-page SEO. This is the fun part, which most people like, which is basically backlinks, building backlinks. And again, if you go to my YouTube channel, I'll leave all these links down below in the description. Just go to Vasco's SEO tips. Again, I give you this all the way for free in the hopes that eventually you'll try out my software, excuse me. Just type in backlinks, go watch this right here and this right here, right? This is 50 minutes long. This is 40 minutes long. And this teaches you step by step how to build backlinks. By the way, the exact same backlinks you can pay me for if you just don't have time. You go here to purchase backlinks, and I'll just build these backlinks for you. Again, the exact same backlinks I teach you how to do on those videos. I just do it for you if you don't have time. That's basically it. Again, very important because you cannot succeed. You cannot succeed in the SEO space. You cannot rank a site without all these three pillars, okay? I mean, I guess you can in less competitive niches, right? And then on-page SEO. This is the classic, right? It's, again, making a list of keywords you want to rank for, right? And then producing content that best satisfies the search intent of those keywords. If I type in best gardening supplies on Google, right? Who's ranking? Is it a listicle? Is it a blog post? Is it a product page? Is it a YouTube video? Doesn't matter. That's the type of content we have to figure out, of course. But then based on that type of content, if it's a blog post ranking, right? What can I produce a better type of content or content that better satisfies the search intent of this keyword better than this? If so, well, let's do it, right? And all the stuff you saw right here, like all these right here, again, you can build this with Arvo. Let me just show you a quick example. Little like pause right here, little call to action with all articles. I just type in gardening, right? Gardening. And by the way, what this tool does, what Arvo does, it isn't magic. Anything this does, you can do too as well, right? This is not a magic tool. This is all done with AI, right? The structure of the content, the in-article images, the links, like even the videos, like none of this is random. The article is about gardening tips in arid soils, and the content itself, the images, even the video that pulled in from YouTube is about desert gardening. So AI did all of this. Now, could you do all this manually? Of course you can, right? Anyone can do this manually. The point isn't that. The point is that this saves you a ton of time. Arvo saves you, or using AI for SEO saves you a ton of time. You don't have to use Arvo. Again, this is my tool. I'm fully biased. This is if you buy this, I make money. But you see this over and over again. We have I think I do like one a week or even more. A ton of case studies of people actually using our software to see results in very short amounts of time, right? Using AI or using our software, using SEO. Now, could they have achieved this without our software? Yeah, 100%. I just argue that they do it in a smaller amount of time. Excuse me, in a longer amount of time, because ours was just like this took seconds to build, right? To create. Now, granted, if you don't like it, you can just go here to revisions and you can edit things. You can say, select parts of it and say, add links. You can add some links here. You can sprinkle in some of your keywords right here, like gardener 9000. Let's say this is your product. And the AI will find a way to add this keyword in a way that makes sense onto the article or onto this part of the article. You can rewrite this with all these prompts. You can even add custom prompts if you want. You can change the images. You can say, add a cat, right? Boom. And the AI will take into account the context of the article, which is gardening arid soils, the existing content of the image, and try to add a cat, in this case, in there in a way that makes sense. Again, this is only if you use AI images, but there you go, cat in an arid type of garden, all right? So it has some notion of what's happening, right? You can even speak as if you were speaking with ChatGPT and say, hey, I don't like the intro, make it more beginner friendly, don't use the words XYZ, link out to my site at whatever.com, remove the image, the image on paragraph 2, add a table on whatever. So you get the point. You can speak back and forth with it, give you custom prompts, and it will change the whole thing as a whole. So again, point of this is that you can use stuff like this, and this is what people are using to see results, to succeed. And again, all these case studies are people doing this exact same thing, 2K to 24K in 6 months. I mean, there's over and over again, people are leveraging AI to produce the content. Again, AI, by the way, this content could be awful. AI can produce bad quality content that does not rank, but so can humans, right? So everyone out there that thinks AI content doesn't rank, well, firstly, it does rank, right? We have a bunch of case studies to prove it. But it can also not rank, because it could be not valuable. Okay, so just very fair point there we have to address. Okay, but if you can make it work, it can work for you. Now, even if you don't want to use AI to generate content, let's say you write the content like manually, you go here right from scratch, and you can just do the whole old school thing and just write the content manually, write it all, whatever, and you can use our tool, our AI capabilities to add links, and all these that I referenced are AI SEO widgets you can use if you want to write manually. Or you can just start from a link. Let's say you find a competitor that has a piece of content I was talking about here, right? That's ranking for whichever keyword, right? And you want to make sure you can produce a better piece of content. You literally go here, AS your editor, start from link, paste in their link right here, create a draft based off of their article, and then just say, hey, make this better, right? Of course, this is a bit of a generic type of example, but you get the point. You can start from scratch or not from scratch, from a competitor-based URL that's already ranking for a certain keyword you want to rank for. Okay, now back to this. Hopefully, so far this is making sense. Again, I'll leave links for all this in-depth classic SEO training. But we have to understand this before we can focus on GEO, which is why we're here. And so going back to the example that I was referencing first, again, these guys, they have this e-commerce store, right? And they have, for example, these garden beds where you can plant seeds, whatever, right? And most e-commerce stores I see, they just end their product page right here. There's nothing else, right? There's the product title, images, colors, whatever, and you can just buy them. What these guys are doing, I don't know if consciously or unconsciously, is what's leading to, this right here being so high. Okay, this on the product page and of course on their blog. These citations are from their blogs and the content they produce, as well as their product pages. And here's why, right? They talk about in specific the details of the product, the specifications, the how to use. This is key. This is insanely important, right? And I'll go over exactly why. Again, how to use the material breakdown. They go in depth into the material breakdown. They tell you what it's made out of, why is it made out of that material, and why it is beneficial, right? They even have a how to set up the thing right here, super in-depth FAQs, even reviews, which is key because people with the reviews have specific issues. Let me go over an example, tangible example, so you can understand. So again, how LLMs work is they're basically a funnel, right? You prompt it with something, gives you an answer. Prompt it again, answer, prompt it again until you have like a little cool answer we as lazy humans want to use. Because again, the alternative is just to go on Google, search for a keyword, click the first result, click the second one, click the third, watch the YouTube video, read the blog post, read the Reddit comments, and based on this, make a decision and buy or not the product. And this right here does the same thing, but just as you prompt it, it reads the blog post, watches the video, reads the Reddit comments, it gives you a prompt. So all this is doing, again, ChatGPT and all these LLMs, they just save you time. But all they're doing is a work that you do as a manual user. That's all it is. And so for example, let's say someone goes into ChatGPT and says, the prompt is, hey, I'm a gardener. I have these garden beds. I usually plant like potatoes there, whatever. And this last winter, the rain got to them because they're made out of wood, and they all got all messed up, right? Is there any material I should be using? That's my prompt, big ass prompt. Answer is yeah. You can use metal, you can use steel, you can use aluminum, you can use all these ones. Do you want me to recommend you some brands that have these for sale? I say yeah, sure. Okay, here's a few ones, blah 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 blah. I say okay. But I've heard that these metals or steel could be toxic for the plants. This is my prompt, by the way, long-ass prompt. Could be toxic for the plants, and then the toxicity can go into the soil, and then the soil breeds the toxins into the potatoes. Do you have any ones that sell like non-toxic materials? They say, hey, yeah, funny enough, you mentioned there's this brand called this right here that sells non-toxic USDA-approved paint for these things made out of steel. Hopefully this is making sense. The only reason why they were mentioned right here is because they tell it right here. They say it as it is. They tell what they put on our side what the material is made out of, why, who's the ICP, who's the ideal customer profile. They could even go with more in depth, right? For example, if you have an e-commerce store for like, you sell like duvets for your bed, right? Or like pillows. Or again, let's go with the same bathrobes. This is a man with a bathrobe, okay? You could type in on your product page that these are made specifically for 6 foot tall men who have some specific skin condition that irritates easily with this type of material, and ours are made with this material that's made out of wool that doesn't irritate your skin, right? just giving it that context will make sure that if and when someone searches for any prompt out there on these LLMs that can lead them down this path of, hey, I am a male, I'm searching for a bathrobe, my skin gets easily irritated, are there any brands that sell bathrobes made out of these materials? You will make it so there's a chance that your brand is mentioned. So the secret here is just give the AI as much context as you can. Even in the reviews right here, right? Let's say, for example, this is let me give you an example for a local business. A lawyer, right? A lawyer business. Lawyers, local businesses, they have reviews on the classic Google, like the GBP Google business page, right? What they should be doing, and what I always advise them to do, is to syndicate those reviews onto the site. Like have a slash reviews page, or up here a testimonials page, where you plaster the reviews from Google onto your site, because these LLMs, they browse anywhere and everywhere. They browse your site, they browse Google, they browse forums, they browse anywhere and everywhere. And so think about this. What if one of the testimonials you put on your site that you pulled in from your Google reviews says, hey, this is for a lawyer again. Hey, the lawyers at Vasco's lawyers firm back in Texas were great. They helped me regain my kids. I got divorced from my wife. I lost my car, lost my house, but I got my kids back. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for these guys. Did an amazing work. There you go. You never know if someone is right now on GPT saying, hey man, GPT, I'm getting divorced from my wife. She's going to take the car. We have 2 kids. What should I do? Well, you never know if GPT won't go into browse the web and find this review plastered on your site about a similar example, a similar issue, and say, hey, funny enough, you ask, right? There's this law firm who I found this review online from a guy with a similar situation as you. They're called Vasco's Law Firm. They're in Texas. Here's the link. So hopefully this is making sense. LLMs, it's all about giving context, as much context as you possibly can. Whether you're a product or a service, doesn't matter, right? If you're a product, give it all the context you can. Why is this made out of this material? Why is it not made out of that material? Why is this material good for this? Why is it not good for that? Who is this for? Who's this not for? What pain point does it solve? Again, you know all this, you're the owner, but put all that context on here, or wherever you want to put the context in. Okay, so again, there's no secret. It's just giving context. That's all it is, right? Now, something else that's very important is, which was something I mentioned in the beginning, is don't be afraid that you'll see that let's say this drops down to 0, right? Doesn't matter, okay? Because even if only robots go to your site and browse it, well, they're still going there for a reason. They're going there because they're taking in the information and feeding it to the lazy humans that just want to prompt the AI. Okay, so don't look at traffic, because it can be a vanity metric, because all you want from traffic is the money. And because, again, if it drops down, doesn't matter, because this can increase because people are still searching for it, just indirectly. And still, by the way, still on the AI, like on the valid traffic, I give this example all the time, but it's all about buying intent, right? You want to go for buying intent, not necessarily a high number of traffic. So if all these people are here, it's too top of the funnel, they don't have the intent of buying, all this traffic is useless. But I'll talk about this later on. Now, going back to our magic whiteboard right here, I want to go over the second example, which is for software businesses. I went over the one for e-commerce, which again can be extrapolated into multiple different niches and even honestly different types of businesses. But I want to go over one more, which is for software, which is the business I'm in. Again, I'm the owner of Arvo. That's not good. We're a software company, we're a software business. And part of the ways in which we direct to the business, and I'm lagging a lot, is through SEO. So people find our site and they buy a subscription from us and they buy our software because we rank on Google. And I'm lagging. There we go. So it's very important that I give you an example, a tangible example of exactly what we're doing and how we're succeeding in the SEO space for LLMs. So I'm going to give you a couple of tangible examples, and then I'm going to give you a cool example that I've mentioned, I think a couple months back, of Grok. Grok is Twitter's LLM. I'm going to give you an example on how we're leveraging Grok to get cited. So it's going to be a different Vasco, different era, different time, but the content is still super valuable. So please watch it all the way through. I'll be back. All right, we're here. We have a lot to cover, so let's just get going. SaaS SEO strategy. And I want to start with a couple of examples, because I think before I show you the boring stuff and the tangible stuff, I think it's important that I show you some successful businesses leveraging SEO to drive traffic in an insanely manner to their businesses. So I want to start with a few examples, and then we'll go from there. First one is Vid. Pretty much what they do is think about Photoshop but for video, or Canva but for video, right? They have this video editing tool that does a bunch of stuff, right? You can add subtitles, you can transform photos to videos, you can change the audio up, you can add, like, remove the background, text to speech, any little feature you can think about when you're editing a video, okay, cropping, etc. Their software does it, okay? So their SaaS, which is priced in this much, right, allows you to do video editing, okay? And what to do in terms of SEO is insane. So this vid.io /tools, okay, which hopefully you can see the URL, is just a directory for all their tools. And if you click any of these, right, all these pages are the exact same. H1, paragraph, call to action, image, and then how it works. Every single one of these is the exact same. It's the exact same thing. The H1 is the keyword, right? And all of them are the exact same thing. Add subtitles to the video. Then this page ranks for a bunch of these related keywords. Let me show you an example, okay? /tools. And if you go here, organic keywords, not only does this get 23,000 people every single month, but it ranks for add subtitles to videos. This is weird. Captions, add captions to video, vid.io. This is very weird. I don't know why. Interesting search term right here. Regardless, I mean, it ranks for a bunch of relevant keywords for adding subtitles to videos because that's exactly what this tool does. But the most interesting thing right here is if you just remove this and go to /tools, right? The /tool pages gets 2 million. So if you combine the traffic that all these tool pages get, right? Because all these are under the /tools URL, these get a combined 2 million in monthly organic visits every single month, okay? It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And all this is, quote unquote, is just they take all the features that their SaaS does. They create a bunch of pages, right, that talk about each one of the features, right? And that's it. Of course, they optimize it properly, and all these pages are the exact same thing. And going for a bit of a smaller scale example, in our software, we do the exact same thing. We have all these features, okay? We have less features, of course, but all the pages are the same. H1, video, H1, not this one, but H1, call to action video, right, what it does. H1, call to action, what it does. So all these are pretty much the same thing, okay? So if you have a SaaS, first things first, you should convert all the features you have into feature pages to some extent. And again, no need to reinvent the wheel. Again, these are all the same. I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but these are all the same. And because they are properly optimized, they're targeting a industry with a lot of search volume, well, 2 million. And by the way, all this is if you click here, and if you don't click add to use the tool, they just send you inside of the software, okay? So there's not even like these free tools. Oftentimes what happens is that the SaaSes have a lot of these free tools, okay? And they link you to the actual free tool. Here, no, they are just the feature pages, literally feature pages, which regardless of which one you choose, they always send you here. They always send you to the product, okay? And this is the freemium version of that product, okay? So that's the very first one. Then the second one I want to look at is Canva. I'm sure you guys know Canva, okay? Canva is like the Photoshop, but online. I use it. I have a paid subscription. I don't think on this account, but I do have it. Canva has the same thing. If you go to Canva I think it's templates, okay? Canva /templates. Well, let me just open it in an incognito window so you guys can see what I mean. These are the same as you just saw with Vid, right? All the same thing. So if I click here, open this up, right? Sitemap, whiteboard, in green, purple, basic style. So all these, let me just go here to whiteboard, okay? Whiteboard templates, okay? If I go here, whiteboard tool, right? I can open more here. Let's see here. Let me just open a few more right here. What's this? Presentations, logos. I mean, I can open them over and over again, right? Presentations, templates, boom. So they all have this exact same thing. And if we go here to copy this URL, /templates, okay? We just plug it into Ahrefs. We can see the immense amount of traffic they have as well. 4 million every single month. And the premise is the exact same. In Canva, you can use it as Photoshop, right? And what do they think? Okay, you can use Canva just like Photoshop to create presentations, to create like Instagram posts, to design YouTube thumbnails. So they took all of these little features you could do, right? And created pages for each one of them. Just like in Vid, they create feature pages, okay? Just like you saw here. And then they aggregate them all in this /tools where you can see all the tools. Canva does the exact same thing. And you can see the immense success here. I'm going to go here to top pages as well, so you guys can see what the pages are. So canva.com/templates /Eddie Mubarak /birthday templates, wedding templates, portfolio wallpapers, company templates, newspaper, vision boards. I mean, it's insane. You can check this for yourself. Point being here is that I want to show you what these guys are doing in terms of their SEO strategy. And don't think it's just templates, okay? Let's take a look at Thinkific. So Thinkific, all they do, quote unquote, all they do, is they're a platform where if you sell online courses, you can host them here, okay? There's a bunch of them. There's Kajabi, there's a lot of them, okay? Mega successful, millions in monthly revenue. I mean, they're very successful. And again, part of the way in which they drive traffic to their business is through SEO. And one of the things you do is comparison pages, okay? So them versus competitor. And they have a bunch of these pages where the only thing that changes is the name of the competitor, okay? If we just zoom out, this again, just a page, H1, them versus the competitor, which one's right for you, paragraph, call to action, little image, then a table comparing the two, comparing the features, comparing the prices, like a simple comparison page, right? And if I go here to, let me just say versus, let's try Teachable, which is a competitor there. Surely they have a page for it. There you go. Again, the page is the exact same thing. Okay, of course, the endpoint here changes because they're comparing two different tools, but the layout, similar to what V does, similar to what Canva does, is the exact same thing. These are comparison pages. Now, why are these valuable? Well, because they rank for a bunch of bottom of the funnel keywords. By bottom of the funnel, I mean keywords that are closest to the buying journey. So when you have a funnel, top of the funnel keywords, so TOEFL keywords would be stuff like how to host an online course online, or which platforms should I use to host an online course. They are here at top of the funnel because people are still looking for the platforms. Bottom of the funnel, BOFU, right? If someone's searching for Thinkific alternative or Thinkific versus Teachable, well, they have a course, right? They're looking to host it somewhere. They know two of the companies that can do it, and they're looking to see which one's the best to probably buy one. So they're much more down here at the bottom of the funnel. Now, there's even more bottom further of the funnel, but this is just an example of what it means to be top of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. Okay. Point being is that pages like this that target both of these, look at the keywords they're relevant for. Let me go here, organic keywords. Okay. Let's see. Thinkific versus Teachable versus Teachable versus Teachable. Let me see here what else we have. Price, Thinkific price, SSO Teachable. So it's all about the being bottom of the funnel, better than Teachable, right? So pricing Teachable, Teachable support. So even though this page is for Thinkific, so Thinkific is the business writing this page ranks for the competitors' keywords. So this page, again, this is written by Thinkific. This is on thinkific.com. And this page, because it's so well optimized, has so in-depth info, it ranks for Teachable support or pricing for Teachable. Okay, keywords that Teachable would want to rank for, but now we are stealing their traffic. Okay, and this again might not be the greatest example because these don't have much traffic right here. Let's give this one a go to see if there's a bit more traffic for these ones. There you go, Kajabi versus. Let's see what else we have here. Kajabi learning platform. So Kajabi app. Point being is that these pages, because they are so in depth, right? Not only do they rank for keywords which are highly valuable, one versus the other, but they tend to rank for keywords that their own competitors wish they ranked for. So versus pages, so comparison page, alternative pages, which is something we do as well. I'll show you here more examples. Because again, I want to be tangible with this, but just scroll down here, open this up. Just open this up right here. This is a comparison page. Okay, we compare ourselves with a competitor, right? And we have a video, a comparison table, right? Proper info going over both, and we rank on Google for this. Now, I'll talk about ChatGPT and other LLMs in a bit because it's also important to be mentioned on ChatGPT, but I'll cover that later on. Point being is that we also do this. Now, these are the comparison pages. We can also do what we call alternative pages. So let me just go here and just look for one. There you go. For example, this one, 10 best ghostwriter AI alternatives. This is a competitor of ours, right? So what we did was, okay, this is a competitor of ours. We want to make sure that we can capture the traffic from people who use this product, right, and are actively looking for alternatives. So we made a blog post, a page targeting these keywords. So we target, okay, what is ghostwriter AI? What is our competitor? What is the pricing of our competitor? What do they do? So this first introduction allows us to one-up them to some extent, allows us to rank for their own keywords. So this post, I'm not sure if it does or not, but some of ours rank for competitor name, pricing, competitor name, features. Why? Because we talk about them extensively. And I'll show you the best example of this, which is PayPal and TransferWise in a bit. But then we talk about the alternatives. So point being is that you got to produce both comparison pages and alternative pages. And I do want to show you what I just mentioned about Wise and PayPal, which is where what I just showed you on the blog is where we're talking about our own competitor keywords. And so someone that does this very well is Wise. Okay, you guys all know PayPal. Okay, Wise is also called TransferWise. Okay, you used to be called TransferWise. It's an online bank. Okay, that's all it is. And what they do is, because one of our competitors is PayPal, okay, what they do is they produce content about PayPal. And that might seem like weird. Why would Wise, a competitor of PayPal, be helping PayPal producing valuable content about them? So that Wise produces blog posts about PayPal's fees, PayPal's pricing, why you should use PayPal, why PayPal is great. Why are they doing this? Well, it's because by doing this, they become hyper relevant for keywords PayPal's current customers, are searching for. And then they just do a call to action to PayPal, to Wise. Let me show you an example. Go here to Ahrefs, put in wise.com, go to organic keywords, and see. First of all, they got an insane amount of traffic, 87.5 million in monthly organic search traffic, okay? But let's go here to organic keywords. Now, some of these, let me just sort by PayPal so it's easier, because they do rank for a bunch of stuff. Keyword contains PayPal. Apply. And they don't just do this for PayPal. They do it for all their competitors. There you go. They rank first for a keyword with 8,221 in monthly organic search traffic. Excuse me, 4.2K, but they get 8,000, okay? Which is PayPal's fees calculator. So this page right here, which is a simple calculator, which ranks for a bunch of other keywords, which I want to show you right here, right? What do you think people going to this page, right, PayPal fee calculator, who search for these keywords, PayPal calculator, PayPal's fees UK, people searching for this, well, they use PayPal, or most likely they want to use it. And so what Wise has right here is a simple calculator, age one, PayPal fee calculator. There's a calculator. You can do this with ChatGPT nowadays. Like, it's pretty simple to build a calculator, right? They talk about, right, PayPal fees, what they are. They have in-depth information. Honestly, I've used PayPal, and PayPal tends to hide this information. If you go on PayPal's site, it's very hard to find like proper information about PayPal. So this is very well done. It's also part of the reason why it ranks first. It ranks above PayPal, right? It ranks above PayPal. So it's super in-depth, super valuable content. And of course, in the end, they say, hey, listen, yeah, you can use PayPal, or you can just use Wise to save a bunch of money with us, because we're cheaper than PayPal. And they do this for a bunch of keywords, a bunch of PayPal's keywords. PayPal, Gcash, let me see more. Let me just search for the ones in the US, because I think it's easier. Boom, boom. How does PayPal work? PayPal friends and family fee. Can I use PayPal on Amazon? It's insane. Wise is producing content about PayPal's topics better than PayPal itself. And yes, it might seem weird, but no, it's good, because then PayPal's users, instead of going to PayPal's site, well, they go to Wise's site, they get great information, and some of them think, okay, why would I use PayPal when Wise is telling me all this information? Even if I use Wise, it's cheaper. So they get introduced to Wise's brand. So producing content about your competitors. And so we have all these right here. I know it took me a while to cover all these examples, but these examples are tangible examples, and all these businesses are growing through search traffic, okay? It's about creating these tool pages, which don't necessarily need to be free tools. You can just use the pages as like a gateway page to drive traffic to your main tool, right? Canva, Thinkific writing comparison pages, writing alternative pages, Wise and PayPal writing content about each other's competitors, okay? Hopefully this long intro gave you a sense of what you can do, right? What you can do with SEO, what you can do with search engine optimization. Okay, so now with that intro out of the way, here's what we're going to be using for driving traffic. We're going to be using these search engines, not YouTube. Forget YouTube. This is a mistake here. We're going to be using Google and Bing and LLMs. LLMs are just ChatGPT, Perplexity, Grok, any other LLM you use like on a daily basis that's behind the user interface product like ChatGPT, we're going to be using. And you'll notice that all this is tied in together, okay? Now, we're going to be optimizing our results to show up first, right, through search engine optimization. That's obvious, okay? Now, here's what we're going to do for Google and Bing, and what we do and what I think you should be doing, okay? First, as I mentioned before in some of these examples, right, we're going to create 3 types of pages. And these 3 types of pages, our goal is to have them rank for high buying intent keywords automatically. So what do I mean by high buying intent keywords? Well, The perfect keyword you can rank for, okay, is one that has low competition and it's hyper buyer aware. Okay, and I always give the example of this. Let's say I have an iPhone repair shop. I know this is not about software, but let's say I have an iPhone repair shop. Okay, people come into my shop. Before they come into the shop, of course, they have to come first into my website. Okay, website to the shop. Now, our site can rank for a bunch of keywords. It can rank for keywords like where to repair an iPhone, or how much does it cost to repair an iPhone, or for keywords like how to repair an iPhone. Now, let's say the keyword how has 10,000 searches a month. Okay, but some of these two keywords, the search volume they get every single month is just 1,000. Now, it might be more attractive to rank for this one because the search volume is higher, but this is a mistake because you should not be focusing on traffic. Traffic is a vanity metric. You want to be focusing on buying intent. And this is the perfect example. Why? Because someone's searching for how. Well, most likely they want to do it themselves. While someone's searching for where or how much, well, most likely they want to pay someone to do it for them. They're looking for a place where or how much. They're looking for a quote. So this is the best way in which I can explain this to you. So going for buyer aware, going for buying intent. Here's an example. Let's say Webflow alternative. Let's say you've built a SaaS that's similar to Webflow. You want to rank for keywords like Webflow alternative, cheaper, so modifier, Webflow alternative, modifier, Webflow alternative, Webflow versus WordPress. So not even you versus them, Webflow versus a competitor, and then you compare them both and say, hey, listen, they're great, but here's a third option that can be better, which is our software, right? Or for example, is Webflow better than WordPress? Right? You can replace this WordPress by all of the competitors that are out there. Right? You can have hundreds of pages like this, just like I showed you with Thinkific before. All the pages are the same. The one thing that changes is the name of the brand, and of course some of the context. Okay, competitor versus competitor, you versus competitor, right? I mean, it's infinite. Pricing, so you're targeting your competitor's own keywords, just like Wise is doing, okay, with the PayPal thing. Does Webflow allow you to XYZ? So look for features Webflow doesn't have, people might be searching for, and then you say, hey, listen, it doesn't, but we do it, right? How to do XYZ in Webflow. So all these are very bottom of the funnel keywords. And it's targeting competitors. So you target your own competitors' branded keywords, which gets you an aware market, right? Because if they're aware of your competitors, they're aware of the pain point, with the buying intent, as well as low keyword difficulty keywords. Because usually specific questions about the products that exist out there usually have low search volume, usually, okay? But again, don't necessarily look at the traffic, look at the buying intent. Now, again, going back to this, we're going to be creating three types of pages, which I'll go over in a bit, okay? And we covered high buying intent keywords. Now I want to cover out the automatically part, because when you create these pages the right way, they'll rank almost instantaneously due to the low search volume. Because a lot of these keywords will have low search volume, meaning low competition, they're going to be easier to rank. Okay, so people think, yeah, with low search volume, nobody's going to buy. No. Even if there's only one person in the world every single year searching for, I want to buy a robot right now that does backflips, please ship it to my house in 24 hours, right? That person really wants to buy the robot right now. And if the robot costs like 10K, well, you're guaranteed to make another extra 10K every single year. Bit of a weird example, but hopefully that made sense. Okay. And then you want to also create and embed interactive dynamic tools like the one we just saw with PayPal. But let's firstly cover the 3 pages, which we've talked a bit about in the examples above. So the classic comparison pages, okay? You versus them, or them versus them, or them versus you, as I said. So what you want to do here is optimize for your competitors' brand names, their info and features. So talk about their pricing. Talk about all their features. Talk about what they do, what they don't do. Don't hide a single thing. Your whole goal is to make this comparison page super valuable, both for the user that's reading it, as well as for the search engine. Because if you talk about your competitors so well, if you're very granular, you explain every single thing your competitor does, their pricing, their credit system, how they work, etc. Well, that page is going to become hyper relevant for your own competitors' keywords, thus even sometimes outranking your own competitors for their keywords. Okay, and I mean, these pages are pretty simple, right? They cover what competitor 1 is, what competitor 2 is, and a comparison between both. And you saw some examples of how we do it in Arvo, right? You saw some examples of how Thinkific does it. And this is a best practice. I'm not saying this is amazing. It could be a lot better. There's no images. There's nothing here. But this is an industry standard, right? Doing these comparison pages. But they have to be good, okay? And if you can embed the video of you going over one tool and the other and talking about it, even better. That's like going the extra mile, because nobody does this because it takes a lot of work, okay? So that's the very first thing. comparison pages. Compare you with them and them with them. Okay, and there's, I mean, just off of this, if you have a SaaS, you can spin up 50 to 100 pages like this. Okay, and capture a lot of search market just like that. If you start doing this today, right, you can do a lot of stuff right here. And by the way, quick plug, you can use Arvo to do it. So Arvo is, we allow you to write content, right? Optimize the content. We even have this AI agent that jumps onto your site and fixes all the technical SEO stuff right here. And you can use Arvo to generate these comparison pages, okay, which is pretty cool. I'll leave a link down below for a tutorial on it, because you can just use what we call custom templates, which basically allow you to customize how a template is going to be. So article templates, create custom template. You can even add variables. So let's say your H1 is Arvo versus competitor. Okay, this is the H1. Okay, and then you want to write a paragraph, right? Talk about a short intro about both, right? And then you want to have an H2, or then you have a table. Compare Arvo versus competitor. And so anytime there's this little curly brackets plus competitor, because I'm not going to dive deep into how this works. You basically feed our AI with a list, okay? A list of your competitors, okay? And Excel sheet or Google Sheets, and you feed it into the AI, right? And on the templates, anytime it's mentioned competitor, right, it will swap out the name, the variable competitor, with one of the names from the list. And so you're able to mass produce all these comparison pages, right? Again, if you want to learn how this works, I'll leave a link down below. It's pretty cool to do all these comparison pages, alternative pages, like super quickly. Just one note, AI isn't magic. Anything our AI tool does, Arvo, you can do manually. The thing about AI is that it just saves you a bunch of time. Okay, then the alternative pages. That's the second type of page you want to be producing, alternative pages. Because while these ones, the comparison pages, are relevant for keywords like this versus that, right? These ones are for people actively looking for alternatives which have some pain points associated with it. Okay, so competitor name alternative. You even want to produce you alternative. Here's how these guys, chat-based, are doing it. Chat-based alternative. If you search up for chat-based alternative, of course, there's the ads, okay? But the guys ranking first are chat-based itself. They give you 21 chat-based alternatives, okay? Again, they don't even mention themselves. Usually what happens is that the first is them, but they don't even mention themselves. And so you're being introduced to their brand. It's a bit weird if you think about it, because someone looking for chat-based alternatives, most likely they've used chat-based, or they've wanted to use it, but it's too expensive, or maybe it's lacking one of the features. And so they're typing on Google looking for an alternative, and they're going to chat-based itself. So it's weird, but you get the point. You can capture some search traffic like this, okay? And maybe even after reading all this, if you read all through the 21 and there's none of them that actually satisfy your needs, maybe you'll go on to chat-based, or maybe they offer you a coupon code right here. So point being is that you should also be producing alternatives to your own brand, because it's an opportunity for you to rank above, because your competitors will be producing alternative pages to you, just like you're doing here, just like you're producing competitor name alternative. Well, your competitors are also going to be doing that stuff as well to steal the traffic from you. So if you can just do it yourself alternative and rank above any of your competitors doing this, well, it's a good thing to just not send traffic to them, okay? And then, of course, optimize for alternative search terms, right? What the page goes over, well, what competitor one is, and then in-depth alternatives of all the competitors. That's basically it. And that's what we do as well here. Again, I showed you before, right? Competitor alternatives. We talk extensively about the competitor to make sure that this page is highly relevant for them. Is there a free plan? How much does it cost, etc.? And then we give them the alternatives, which of course the first one is ours. Okay. And again, there's a lot of pages you can produce with this, because if you have a SaaS, most likely you have like a handful of competitors. So there's a bunch of these pages you can make. So comparison pages and then alternative pages. Okay. For example, right here, you can do some of the keywords, some of these. How do you optimize for alternative search terms? Well, Slack alternative, Slack for XYZ business. So you can niche it down. Slack for plastic surgeons, Slack for lawyers, Slack for, I don't know, karting business. I don't know, man. You get the point. So you can niche down with modifiers. It doesn't just have to be this, right? It can be this for specific niche, this for Asians, this for, I don't know, man. You get the point, right? Or a modifier for the feature. So cheaper, faster. Okay, you get the point. So there's a bunch of keywords you can use to optimize these pages for that. And then simply informational pages, right, about your competition, okay? Optimized for competitors' informational content, meaning keywords who their current customers are already searching for, which is sort of what Wise does as well, okay? And what the pages cover essentially is information existing customers search for on Google, right? For example, Wise with PayPal info. They outrank PayPal and even Revolut for questions about their own platforms. For example, how to cancel my Slack subscription. Okay, well, of course, there's a Slack in itself has like how to cancel it, but all these guys, what they're doing is trying to steal Slack's traffic. Hey, here's how you cancel it, and here's what you should use instead. And for this one, for this keyword, surely Slack ranks above it, but I'm sure there's a bunch of variations of this keyword. Well, these guys rank above Slack. Okay, so a point being is that produce informational content about your competitors that's more valuable than the content themselves are actually putting out. Okay, and I could just end the video here, and I think this is mega valuable. Again, I'm of course 100% biased, but I think this is mega valuable. Just producing these 3 pages would give you an insane edge, and it would get you some traffic getting started. I mean, a lot of traffic sent to your site from a Google search. So that's I guess that's the second part of this video, which hopefully was valuable so far. And by the way, if you could do me a huge favor and comment the word SaaS SEO in the comments, that'll be amazing, because YouTube's most valuable thing is not likes, it's not subscribers, it's comments. So if you can help me out and have this video pushed out to more people by the YouTube algorithm gods by commenting the words SaaS SEO, that'll be amazing. I'll be very thankful if you could do it, please. If you could do it for me, please. And yeah, let's move on. And so now talking about the second point right here, which is create and embed interactive dynamic tools. Here's what I mean by this. When I say dynamic tools, I say tool recommendations based on your niche. So mortgage calculators, meal plan makers, car financing helpers, stock picking tips, right? Just like, again, with Wise, we have this little tool. Again, this is not hard to make, right? Of course, it's connected to a database, which has all this stuff right here and this interactive thing, but it's not hard to make. And the value this has is insane, right? It's an interactive tool that gives them what they need quick, right? Because this could easily be displayed on a table, but on a table would be very hard, because we have a column with rows with all the countries, then columns with all the where you're sending it to, the fees. It would be insane, right? Well, what's an easiest way to do this? Well, it's like with a little calculator, okay? And then, I mean, this is a given. Heavy CTAs. As cliche as it sounds, like the more you push, the more you do call to action, the more you sell. Okay, and I'll show you like a quick example, right? If you go to your blog, it doesn't have to be the blog, it can be any page on your site, right? You'll see that here, right? We have this little sidebar, which is sticky, right? Our call to action goes as you scroll. Okay, this right here. Then at the bottom, of course, we have another one. Okay, pretty straightforward, pretty simple stuff, but it goes a long way. So there's another call to action right here, right? On your feature pages, right? Have a big call to action. Okay, don't be afraid to do call to action. Don't be afraid to sell, because again, there you go, another one. Because as cliche as it sounds, the more you sell, the more you push for stuff, right? The more you do calls to action, the more you'll sell. That's the same thing as I say, hey, listen, guys, please comment the word SaaS SEO in the comments. And most of you won't really bother with it, but maybe 0.1% of you will comment just because I said so or I asked so. Again, super cliche, but it does. The more you sell, the more you make money, okay? And the more CTAs you make, the more actions people are going to take. Okay, so to recap, before we dive into LLM SEO, before we dive into outrank on Grok, ChatGPT, etc., right? Here's what you're going to do. Here's what we do. Create informational pages, okay? Targeting and providing better info, keyword better info than your competitors. Create comparison pages, rank for a variety of bottom of the funnel keywords. And then create alternative pages. One and multiple, target multiple keywords, cheaper, faster, simpler, with XYZ feature. Okay, we covered all this stuff right here, hopefully in depth, so you were able to understand it. And then to increase conversions, embed interactive tools with magnets, improves conversion rate, and exaggerate on CTAs, because I almost can assure you that you're not CTAing enough. There you go. So moving on to the last part of the video, which is LLM SEO. LLM stands for large language model, and don't overthink this. It's the same as the classic SEO, because where do you think all these LLMs get the info from? Well, your site, social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, right? Other people's sites. They just, when you search for something on here, when you prompted something, all they do is they browse the internet for you, take all the stuff and compile it in a little small snippet of text that's easier on you to read. That's basically all they do, okay? And for example, on Grok right here, this is old, but what's the best auto blogging tool for SEO? We are ranked here. We used to be named Journalist AI. We're not anymore. We changed the name, but we used to be mentioned here. And why do we think we show up here? Well, it's because we have a blog post on our site that talks about auto blogging tools and say we're the best one. Okay, not at random. Journalist AI versus Koala Writer, right? The info on here, right? This is a competitor of ours. Well, you can see the sources up top. The sources, one of them is the own blog post we have on our own site that compares them versus us. Then there's another blog post, then there's social posts, right? So then there's YouTube videos talking about each one of them separate in together, right? And all they do is they compile all the info online and bunch it up here for you. Point being is that if you want to show up on here, and I'll show you a last example, what's the best AI writer for SEO 2025? Let's see here. I don't think we show up for this one, for this keyword. Doesn't matter, right? Point being is that all they're doing is they're aggregating information. So you still need to be producing content, right? This page right here, Thinkific versus Kajabi, this is hyper valuable. Even if, let's put a hypothetical scenario, even if nobody tomorrow uses Google, let's say Google dies tomorrow. Well, when someone goes on to ChatGPT and searches for, hey, I'm using Kajabi, but I'm looking for an alternative, right? What do you recommend? Well, the AI is going to go online and read through blog posts, read through Thinkific's site, read through Kajabi's site, go on Reddit, go on LinkedIn, go on Facebook, go on YouTube, and then aggregate all that info and give it to you. And so having this is insanely valuable because this is insanely valuable info. It goes over both of them in depth, goes over pricing, goes over what they do, what they don't do. So the AI will read through this, and some of the info that I'll give you, right, is going to be based off of this. And we can even do a live test, okay? Let's do a live test. Why not? Let's go into ChatGPT and ask it, Thinkific versus Kajabi. Let's start with this, right? Let's see what it thinks, okay? And what the sources are, it's citing for this. So let's just wait for this to load. All right, some of the sources were, so one source so it's sourcing Kajabi itself, okay? Lo and behold, a post of them, one versus the other. There you go. So none of this is random. All the stuff that they're citing right here is info, right? There you go. That's the blog post. There you go. Okay. The comparison page. So all the stuff they're citing right here, all the info they're giving you right here isn't random. It's based off of info we put out there. Okay. It aggregates the info and puts it into a concise thing. That's basically it. So you still need to be producing content. Okay. And so LLM SEO is no different from the classic SEO. If you suck at classic SEO, if you don't rank high, if you don't produce quality content, well, LLMs will never cite you. Okay. And so all this stuff right here, the first one, choose the prompts you want to rank for, or I guess be recommended for, I guess is the very first step. Because if you want to ideally be recommended for the prompt, ChatGPT alternative, well, you got to be producing content for that. Okay. And then, because they rely heavily on social, okay, optimize for brand mentions across the web. Not just Google and Bing, but social media, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, they need to know about your brand. And then, of course, be coherent, right? If you mention you're the best at X, be coherent so you don't confuse the LLMs, okay? If you mention you're the best at XYZ, or if you color in blue, don't mention it's red. Be concise. Again, this is all about the classic SEO. It's the same thing. Now, the reason why social is so important is because you see right here, Grok, which is Twitter's LLM, or Twitter's version of ChatGPT. You see that some of the citations right here, 15 citations were Twitter posts. And then, of course, some of them were websites, okay? So Grok, because it's owned by Twitter, right, it's only fair that some of the info and the sources will be tweets. So Grok is biased in the sense that if there's information in tweets, social posts about your brand, well, they're going to be picked up by Grok when you ask it stuff. Perplexity, for whichever reason, heavily gives you videos, okay, heavily sources YouTube as a source. And GPT, there's a high correlation between Bing rankings, your site's rankings on Bing, and the number of mentions on ChatGPT. Why? Of course, because Microsoft owns Bing, which owns OpenAI, which owns ChatGPT. And there's a high correlation between Bing rankings and Google rankings, so you could extrapolate that there's a high correlation between ChatGPT and Google rankings. So again, all this stuff stems from the same thing. It's the same thing as classic SEO. Don't overthink this stuff, okay? Now, we can go deep into it a bit, but I've made a video on this. Hopefully, I'll link it down below. Let's say the main prompt is, what's the best auto blogging tool for SEO? So question, qualifier, feature, niche, industry, and use case. And this main prompt can be applied to any industry, any SaaS out there you have. Okay, what are some of the secondary prompts? Well, so you search for this, okay, and then with these LLMs, the point is that you chat back and forth. That's like, it's very few times, at least myself, when you use ChatGPT, right, you just ask it one thing. Usually you go back and forth. And so the secondary prompts could be, okay, why is XYZ better than ABC? And then they tell you why, and then does ABC do X? How much does it cost? So you're going down the funnel more and more. Is there any case studies, success stories? And then is there a coupon code? So you're going bottom of the funnel more and more and more. You started with a question, what's the best one? And why is, and the answer to you, and you say, hey, okay, why is it better than this one? Okay, does it do X? Does it do what I need? Okay, it does. How much does it cost? Okay, sure. Is there any case studies? Is there any proof that it works? There is? Okay, cool. Is there any coupon codes? So you're going down the funnel as with these secondary prompts. So back and forth questions about the brand. And so this stuff right here, the only way that you're going to be showing up here is that if you have information about they do it, how much does it cost? Is there any case studies? So we have case studies on your site, right? Do you have coupon codes on your site? So for example, we have, again, I'm not trying to like use this as a case study at all, but if you go here to the case studies tab, we have a bunch of case studies, okay? We have a page that's /case studies that we talk about all the case studies we provided. And we click it and there's actual tangible info on case studies of people using our product. So if for some reason someone's using this, this exact flow of questioning and they ask for case studies, well, yes, there are case studies. Here's a couple. So hopefully this is making sense so far. Point being is that you have to provide them with information. Information is going to be key. And so then if you're giving them, just to finish up in these 7 steps before the main key takeaway is make sure your homepage has a clear message. So you do this, your SaaS does this, and this. Again, all this is pretty obvious, right? Have pages for each feature, right? If you have a feature, talk about it, okay? First, because people going to your site need to know all the features you have, but then for LLMs and for Google rankings, well, it's important that we have all these feature pages. It's important that we talk about, hey, listen, we have this tool, this feature called AI Agent that improves your SEO on autopilot. Here's what it does, right? Here's how it works, etc. LLMs will pick up on this. And so if someone asks, for example, hey, is there a tool that automatically creates internal links? Well, yes, there is, because they read through this. Or is there a tool that automatically creates schema markup? Well, there is. So you have to provide this info, okay? Give info. So for your SaaS, create feature pages, in-depth ones, right? Write what the feature does. Don't hide anything, okay? Use cases pages, okay? Case studies pages. Again, what we talked about before, blog posts with alternative, comparison pages, informational pages, the 3 main type of pages we talked about before, right? Then be active, right? Active on your social channels, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Reddit, because again, these LLMs will take info from that as well. You saw the sources, they take info from sites and from social platforms like Reddit, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all of them. Right. Also, active on non-branded social mentions, meaning basically other people recommending your brand. It's pretty obvious. And then backlinks, because SEO is a 3-pillar game. Okay, SEO, you got to do on-page SEO, which is everything that happens on the site. Okay, you have to do technical SEO, which is the boring part of SEO, which is like your schema markup, your meta title, meta description, your site speed, which, by the way, like you can have the best on-page in the world and the best off-page in the world, but if your site is super slow, well, you can be ranking first, but people are going to click it. Takes too long, just going to click off and go to the second one. Okay. Again, on-page is everything that happens on the site. So the content you write, how you write it. So the comparison pages, the alternative pages, the feature pages. Do we have images? Are they interlinked between each other? Do they have external links? Do they have like videos in there? Are they properly well written? Do you have tables? So all this stuff, right, on page. Then off page basically is backlinks, building backlinks. Backlinks are basically mentions, links about your brands on authoritative sites. And I'll leave a link in the description for a free course I've made, like 1 hour long, on how to build backlinks for free. So you can just check it out over there. And also I'll leave a link for my whole SEO course that covers all this stuff right here. All it for free, by the way, here on YouTube. And so the main takeaway here is that LLMs only have the info you give them. Okay, so give them more info than what your competitors do. That's basically it. And so that's the whole thing, right? The whole course, the whole SaaS SEO strategy. I went over first a couple of examples, tangible examples I think were key for us to understand this and why it works and how it works. Then tangible tips on what to do and how to do. And then just wanted to cover LLM SEO because I think more and more people are using ChatGPT to search. So I think it's important that I cover all that. But just know that LLM SEO stems from the classic SEO. And so if you suck at classic SEO, if you don't know any of this, well, this is going to be pointless. So yeah, that's it. All right, there we go. So that's basically it, guys. I want to, before I leave you, I want to tell you a couple of things. Check the links in the description. There's a bunch of valuable free stuff. Like all my SEO knowledge is free. Don't pay for courses. Just check the links below. I don't hide a single thing because, again, my goal, being fully transparent, is that you learn SEO from me. I teach you every single thing I can. So in the future, you actually do SEO and you want to leverage AI for your SEO. In specific, my software, Arvo, which I think is the best one that successfully leverages AI for SEO. And again, you saw from the case studies. Again, if you go to arvo.com/case studies, there's a lot of case studies from just businesses like yourself. So my whole goal is to get you to buy my software by teaching how to do SEO. So that's my not so hidden reason as why I'm doing this. So yeah, check all the videos, check all the stuff, give a go at Arvo for free. And I guess if you watched this far, you can use the coupon code. Let's just do, well, I have this here. Let's just coupon code Pink Monster for 15% off. I don't think we ever do that type of discount, but there you go, 15% off with the code Pink Monster. Let's see how many of you guys use this. And yeah, for more training, go watch this right here. If you can do me a huge favor, and if you watch this far, comment the words AI SEO Pink Monster. That'd be amazing for the algorithm because it will help me and help you to push out this video to more people. So comment the words AI SEO Pink Monster. Watch this. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.